Man, what a freaking card, dude. Seriously, from top to bottom, this was one of those nights where the energy was just electric, especially during the prelims. It felt like a highlight reel unfolding in real time, with one jaw-dropping moment after another. One of the biggest moments came from Ion Kutulaba, who shocked everyone by submitting Ibo Aslan in the first round with an arm triangle choke. Kutulaba is pretty much known for his striking, but this showed that he has some serious grappling chops too. Then we had Ricky Simone deliver a devastating first round knockout over Javid Bashrat, and it was brutal, and that performance bonus was well earned. And let's not forget Nosatan Razaboyev, who wasted no time in this fight, scoring a second round finish in just 33 seconds. This guy is pure chaos in the best way possible, and it's clear he's someone to watch. Alright, so tonight we got to break down the three biggest fights on the card: the main event, the co-main event, and the feature fight with Jean Silva. These were the ones that really stood out and had everyone talking, so those are the ones I'm going to focus on today. So let's talk about the fight that left a sour taste in everyone's mouth. The main event, Henry Cejudo versus Song Yadong, because man, that was shaping up to be a certified war before tragedy struck. It was one of those fights where both guys had their moments, and it was a back and forth, razor close exchange. Song was bringing his usual pressure, finding success with those sharp counters, while Henry was really mixing things up well, using his footwork and timing to stay in the fight. But if we're going to be honest, I gave Song the first 3 rounds. He was landing the more damaging shots, dictating the pace, and just looked overall the sharper fighter. Now, don't get me wrong, Henry had his moments. He barely used his wrestling, and there were times where it looked like he was starting to figure things out on the feet, but Song was still a step ahead in my opinion. His counters were landing clean, his defense was on point, and anytime Henry tried to get some momentum going, Song would shut it down. It wasn't a blowout by any means, but it was clear that Song was edging the rounds. Then, of course, we got that moment that completely derailed the fight, that eye poke. And not just your average eye poke with the ref giving a warning, the guy blinks a few times and they shake it off. No, this one was bad. You can tell instantly from Henry's reaction that something was seriously wrong. The dude looked panicked, like his eyes wasn't responding the way it should, and when they brought in the doctor, you can already hear in the tone that they weren't playing around. The fight had to be paused, and Henry was given the full 5 minutes, which almost never really happens. Usually fighters rush back in, but this time it was different. He was straight up losing his vision in one eye. That's terrifying. So the fight progresses and the round ends. And after the round ends, Henry went to his corner and told his coaches that he couldn't see out of his right eye. That alone says a lot, because fighters never admit something like that unless it's serious. So they bring in the ref, and then the doctor steps in to check him out. And at that point, Henry already made his decision. He wasn't looking to push through or convince anyone to let him keep going. He straight up couldn't see, and he knew fighting like that wasn't an option. So when the doctor did their assessment, it wasn't some long debate or back and forth. Henry didn't argue, didn't protest, he wanted it off. And once that was clear, the fight was done. And I've seen people saying that this fight should have went to a no contest. I've seen some people confused about the ruling, so let's clear it up real quick. Here's the deal. When an accidental foul stops a fight, the result depends on when it happens. If it's before the end of the second round in a 3rd round fight, or before the end of the 3rd round in a 5-round fight, it's ruled a no contest because there aren't enough complete rounds to go to the judges' scorecards. Basically, if you don't get past the halfway mark of the scheduled fight, it's like the fight never happened. But in this case, they did get past the threshold. We were already in the 4th round where the eye poke happened, which means that the fight already crossed the halfway point. And when that happens, the official ruling is technical decision, not a no contest. That means the judges score the fight based on the complete rounds, and the fighter who was ahead on the scorecard gets the win. Now, from what I saw, Song Yadong was clearly up on the scorecards. He was landing the better shots, controlling the exchanges, and had a strong lead. So once Henry couldn't continue, the officials had to go to the cards, and Song got the win. Simple as that. A lot of people are saying, oh, it should have been a no contest or it should have been a DQ, but that's just not how the rules work. If it was an intentional foul, then yeah, there's a case for the DQ. But since this was ruled an accidental and the fight had gone past 3 rounds, the right call was to score it as a technical decision. It sucks that it ended that way. Nobody wanted a fight to end on eye poke, but Song was already on track to win in my opinion, and under those rules it made sense for him to get his hand raised. Dana already said they're not running it back, so it looks like they're just moving forward. Unfortunately, this is how things just play out sometimes. But honestly, let's be real. Eye poke or not, Song was on his way to winning that fight. He already banked the 3 rounds in my book, and even if Henry pushed through the damage, there was nothing in those first 3 rounds that made me think that he was going to be able to turn things around. Song had him figured out, and unless Henry had some crazy adjustment waiting to happen, it felt like he was just falling further and further behind. And that's the thing, man. We don't know if Henry's going to come back. I mean, after all, he's on a 3-fight losing streak. And honestly, we have no clue what's next for him. The big question is, will his eye heal? Does he still have that hunger to fight? Especially since that rematch with Song isn't happening. And look, he didn't look bad in this fight. He actually looked pretty good. But he was definitely not the same fighter. He was slower, and his cardio wasn't the same. I don't know, man. I don't even know if I want to see him fight again. Not because I dislike him, but because it feels like he just doesn't have it anymore. And I don't want to see him get hurt. But if he does decide to come back, I think a fight against him and Chito Vera is the fight. Chito's always down to scrap. He's got those nasty kicks, solid pressure, and a sneaky ground game. Henry will have to rely on his wrestling to break him down. And look, man, if he can't get passed by Chito, then yeah, it might be time to call it. Now, as for Song, the dude is only 26 years old. He's entering his prime. It's time to see him against a real vet. And if we're talking about fun fights, give him Jose Aldo. I know Aldo's been out, but if he's willing to come back, then that's the fight. Song's power and pace versus Aldo's IQ and leg kicks, now that's freaking fireworks. Now, with all that being said, let's talk about the co-main event between Fluffy versus Allen 2. This was one hell of a fight. Going in, we all knew it was going to be a scrap. Two gritty middleweights with legit grappling skills, both improved significantly since their first fight. But damn, Anthony Hernandez really showed up and proved that his win over Allen the first time wasn't even a fluke. He came in with a game plan, executed it, and walked away with another big W. Right off the bat, you could see Allen was trying to set the tone, throwing those high kicks and immediately looking to engage in the grappling, but Hernandez wasn't having it. His ability to scramble and reverse positions was insane. Every time Allen tried to take control, Fluffy just found a way to either reverse it or make him uncomfortable. And when Allen did get a good position, like when he took his back early, Hernandez stayed calm, defended well, and kept working his way back into the fight. That's a veteran level composure right there. But man, I won't lie, I was a bit worried in that first round when Allen started landing some brutal ground and pound. There was a moment when Allen had top control and was just raining down heavy shots. And for a second, it felt like Fluffy was in real danger. Those weren't just pitter-patter shots either. Allen was throwing with some serious power for, he was looking for that finish. But to his credit, he did exactly what his high-level guys do. He stayed composed, defended well, and slowly worked his way out of trouble. That was a huge moment because if he had taken too much damage early, this could have been a very different fight. And now, as the fight went on, Hernandez just started to wear him down. His wrestling was relentless, and you could see Allen getting a little bit more desperate as he realized he couldn't keep up with Fluffy. It's not like Allen didn't have his moments. He landed some decent shots and had a couple of good reversals, but Hernandez was just the more effective guy, controlling the fight, landing damage, and making Allen work way harder. By the third round, it was clear who had more gas in the tank and who had more control. Now, looking at what this means for both guys, Fluffy just put himself right into the mix at the middleweight division. That's 7 straight wins, and now he's cracking the top 10. The dude is a problem for anyone in the division with his pace, wrestling, and submission game. Now, as for Allen, this is a tough one. That's 2 straight losses, and while he's still a top tier talent, it feels like he needs to make some adjustments. Maybe work on his ability to fight on his back or improve his cardio to keep up in those grind heavy fights. Either way, this was a great fight, and Fluffy 100% deserved that win. He got serious momentum, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a big name next. Maybe a fight with someone like Apollo Costa. That would be cool. Alright, the last guy I gotta talk about is Jean Silva, man. This dude showed out tonight. That was a clean performance, as you'll see. Walked in there with confidence, wasted no time, and put Melsik Barzarian out quick. The timing on that right hand, perfect. Sat him down, looked at the ref, got the green light, and finished the job. Ref had no choice but to step in, and now that's 4 straight knockouts now. Silva is on fire, and from the opening bell, you could tell that he was locked in. No wasting movement, no rushing, just reading Melsik, waiting for the opening, and when he saw it, boom, fight over. One of those knockouts where the second it lands, you know it's done. That's next level precision. Now, what's next? Well, Silva made it crystal clear he wants Bryce Mitchell, and honestly, that's a perfect call out. We've seen him handle strikers, but Mitchell will test his grappling, his ability to deal with a relentless wrestler. That's the kind of fight that tells us if Silva is really ready for the top of the division. Alright, so with all that being said, that was easily one of the best fight nights of the year so far. Crazy performances, big moments, just an all-around great card. But that's gonna wrap it up for me. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys on my next one.